All right, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Guys, I want to primarily focus on Trump's speech at the UN General Assembly. It was a humdinger. Trump put the smack down, if you will. Guys, I want to present this thing to you. I don't believe that our NATO allies are necessarily our friends. And I think Trump called him out on that. He made some things emphatically clear. I think it was one of Trump's better speeches. Actually, I take that back. I think this was one of Trump's most important speeches that he's given thus far in his presidency, and perhaps that he will give in his presidency. He called them out on their open borders. And I'm speaking about our NATO allies, these people that are allowing their borders to be open, allowing invaders to come in or illegals to come in to change their culture, to change Western civilization to the point where places like London are now considering Sharia law. He called them out on the climate change hoax, the green scam, and how they're falling prey to China, and how their goal should be to use traditional energy sources. He also called them out on funding the war against their own territory. And I'm speaking of Russia and Ukraine. These people, our NATO allies, are literally still buying oil from Russia, telling Putin to stop killing Ukrainians, while they're funding Putin to kill Ukrainians. It is the craziest thing ever. Also, he talked about Christianity and how it is the most persecuted religion in the entire world. And that wasn't all. We're going to get into some of the clips and more on this edition of the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Guys, I want to remind you to please subscribe to our podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. And I've got some great news on YouTube, at least temporarily so. So we'll talk about that. But please subscribe, YouTube, Rumble, wherever you go to get your podcast. The Carl Jackson Show. Also X, Instagram, and Facebook at Carl Jackson Show. Please help us get to that number, YouTube, 10,000 on YouTube. If you would subscribe, like, follow, that would be a big help. And we've got some big help, and we'll talk about this as well. Let me talk about some of the things that are going on before we get into some of Trump's speech. First off, you got the Jimmy Kimmel situation. Jimmy Kimmel is back on air tonight, but you have Next Star. And what is the name of the other company? I don't know why I keep forgetting the name of the other company, but it starts with an S. But nonetheless, you have Next Star, and you have another one of these companies that owns a lot of the affiliates, over 20%, 20 to 25% of the affiliates that Jimmy Kimmel's show will be aired on. I believe up to 80 stations, if I recall. Sinclair. So you got Nexstar and Sinclair that owned these stations. Basically, Disney caved. Bob Iger of Disney caved. He's going to allow Jimmy Kimmel back on. You know what? That's fine with me. I wasn't certain that Jimmy Kimmel would come back. I thought maybe they would stay strong. I do think, I got to say, I think Brandon Carr, even though it wasn't due to Trump putting any pressure on, I think Brandon Carr's comments on Benny Johnson's show were just untimely, unnecessary. You can just speak in broad generalities. If he violated any FCC rules, mention that and move on. Don't get into the nitty gritty, with Benny Johnson, because then there's this. There's the thought or the look that the government did have something to do with Jimmy Kimmel having to be suspended. And it wasn't that at all. We know that Jimmy Kimmel lied about Charlie Kirk's murderer, claiming that he was a MAGA supporter, when the prosecutor had already come out, had already read this guy's text to his boyfriend, had already established motive, had already established that he had turned hard left, according to his family, and obviously according to the boy that he was dating that dresses like a little furry animal, dresses up like a little furry animal for him. We now know that he was into the furry porn and all this kind of stuff. So it was complete and utter nonsense, and Jimmy Kimmel knew it at the time, yet he came on air and he lied. So the affiliates that are owned by Sinclair and also Nexstar were like, hey, enough is enough. Enough is enough. It's time to turn the temperatures down. Not to mention that's public broadcasting network. So those are network shows that should not be DNC shows, but rather those shows are supposedly designed and supposed to cater. They're supposed to be neutral. They're supposed to be funny. They're supposed to cater to all Americans, and they don't do it. It's obvious that when you look at any of these nighttime shows, these nighttime talk shows, they all cater to one side of the aisle, and it is predominantly left. Whether it's Seth Meyers, whether it's Stephen Colbert, whether it's Jimmy Fallon, and whether it's Jimmy Kimmel. I was about to get, they all cater to the left. Now, Jimmy Fallon, he started off good, but he got so much pressure on him, he had to start bashing Trump. So I'm not sure that he could recover. He tried to make amends, bringing Greg Gutfeld on. I watched that show. It was actually very good. And it seems like he's calmed down since, but it may be too little too late in a model that's probably not going to work anymore, since you got so many kids that are online. But he does do a lot of digital stuff, at least Jimmy Fallon. So anyway, that's news. So you've got Jimmy Kimmel coming back. Listen, I suspect that Jimmy, and I don't know this, but I'm speculating, his contract is up soon, unless these people want to keep losing money. Now, obviously, you've got a lot of these Hollywood actors that scared Bob Iger into ending the suspension and bringing Jimmy Kimmel back. But again, Nexstar and Sinclair said, we're not bringing him back on our stations unless he goes out of his way to make a sincere apology and to start doing TV the way that he's supposed to do TV and cater to all Americans, not just, and I would say 50% of Americans, but I don't believe that crazy liberals vote 50% of the time for Democrats. I really don't. I think illegal aliens that are in places like Illinois or Chicago, Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, and New York, I believe a lot of these people are being counted. We know that they're being counted for the sake of the census, for the sake of the Electoral College, and they are shaping the voting electorate in the United States of America. So anyway, that's the story on Jimmy Kimmel. Also, what else do I want to talk about? Google admits political censorship on YouTube. So there's a story here right in my formerly fingerprinted fingertips that I want to talk to you about real quick, and then we'll talk about how Tylenol allegedly has a correlation to autism. I got to be honest with you. I'm not as convinced as some Trumpsters with this. I'm not as convinced with RFK's analysis on this. So I will defer with some of my conservative compadres on this one. I'm just not sure. I'm not convinced, but I'll give you some information. I'll give you some information on that. But right now, hat tip. This is from Breitbart. Google admits that political censorship on YouTube, that there was political censorship on YouTube, and promises to embrace free speech. Having said that, The Carl Jackson Show on YouTube. All right. Subscribe, rate, review, or just like, follow, subscribe. All right. Share it. We would certainly appreciate that. Hopefully this will kick into effect, guys. And on all of these platforms, it has been a serious, I'm not trying to be a little wimp here, but it's been harder to grow. There's no doubt about it. Once these networks, these platforms lock down after COVID, man, it's been a work to try to get these numbers up. So you can help me out. Go to youtube.com. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. We would certainly appreciate it. But according to Breitbart, today, YouTube promised to restore accounts that have been banned for political speech, admitting that the Biden administration pressured it to censor Americans that did not violate the company's terms of service in a letter to Jim Jordan. He's the House Judiciary Committee chairman. Now, let me say this. I want to be emphatically clear about this. I don't trust Google as far as I can throw the entire building, maybe. I don't know. I don't trust them whatsoever. All right. I don't trust any of these big tech companies. I still don't trust Mark Zuckerberg. You got a lot of conservatives kissing up to Mark Zuckerberg because all of a sudden, he's seen the light and he's hanging around with UFC fighters and so on, et cetera. But if these people did this stuff before, I always wonder if they'll do it again. Where is their heart really? That I don't know. But right now, the law is on our side. So we got to make sure that we retain office in 2026 and hopefully in 2028. But here's what a lawyer for Google said. Quote, reflecting the company's commitment to free expression, YouTube will provide an opportunity for all creators to rejoin the platform if the company terminated their channels for repeated violations of COVID-19 and elections integrity policies that are no longer in effect. See, that alone, I'm not sure that I like that wording, because I think that these people, especially some of the big names, like they mentioned, the Dan Bonginos of the world, the Sebastian Gorkas, the Steve Bannons of the world, these people lost a lot of money. They lost a lot of money. Maybe I could have made some money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these people stalled our accounts. These people made it so difficult. including Facebook, including Twitter before Elon Musk bought it, where literally I had stayed on the same numbers for years. I mean, on Facebook and Twitter alone, I did not move. I mean, I could tweet all day long. I could post all day long on Facebook. And literally for years, my numbers did not move. So this is a good thing. Hopefully it'll stay. But I do think, listen, these people need to be treated like common carriers, like old school telephone lines. These big tech companies, they should not be allowed to decide who to censor, especially when they're on the left. A lot of these people in these companies are on the left. And so I simply don't trust them. But for today, this is good news. So let's make the most of it, conservatives. Let's make sure that we get our views out there. I mean, it should be freedom of thought, freedom of speech on these platforms. And it looks like they're headed back that way, at least for now. So praise God for that. We'll have more in just a sec. You're listening to the Carl Jackson Show at Carl Jackson Show, X, Instagram, and Facebook. Hey guys, Carl Jackson here for MyPillow. A major retail chain just canceled a massive order, leaving MyPillow with an overstock of classic MyPillows. Now it's your game. For a limited time, MyPillow is offering their entire classic collection at true wholesale prices. You get the standard MyPillow for just $17.98. If you want more, upgrade to queen size for only $22.98 or king size for $24.98. Snag body pillows for just $29.98. And versatile multi-use pillows for just $9.98. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Carl, that is CARL, or call 800-858-0263. All right. Plus, when you order totals of $75 or more, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts, no strings attached. That's right. Premium pillows at unbeatable prices and bonus gifts to top it all off. Don't wait. Head to mypillow.com right now or call 800-858-0263. And don't forget to use the promo code Carl, CARL, to grab your standard MyPillow for just $17.98. That is insane. Can't beat that with a bat. All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Also, more news. Trump signs an executive order calling Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. And this is what the left does. This is why the left is so good. They're called Antifa, anti-fascist. Now, most people out there don't even know what a fascist is. And they'll call Donald Trump a totalitarian. They'll call him a fascist. And I'm like, if Donald Trump was a fascist, would you really call him a fascist? Of course you wouldn't. I mean, this stuff, this is why I really believe the left despise Charlie Kirk. And still to this day, I mean, you're still seeing nasty stuff directed at Charlie Kirk, directed at his wife. They despised him because he was exposing the college scam. It wasn't just that he was going to the what do you call these colleges where literally all of these left-wing, basically where communism and socialism was being birthed on these college campuses, some high school campuses. He's going into those places. That's where since Democrats kill their babies, right? So since Democrats kill their babies, what do they have to do? Since Democrats kill their babies, I mean, think about it. Am I wrong? These people love abortion. They love killing babies, many of them. So since there's nobody to take on their names, to take on their heritage, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? They got to go brainwash your kid. And that's exactly what they do. And so Charlie Kirk was going on these campuses, disrupting that, and that terrified them. They call it hate and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, good thing. Again, Trump signs this executive order. Excuse me. Declaring Antifa a domestic terrorist organization group. And if any of you have seen the videos of Antifa literally beating up people, pointing lasers into the eyes of law enforcement, particularly in places like Seattle and Portland, where they literally go wage war against cops, and then they get these weak mayors and district attorneys and all this kind of stuff in those parts of the country that will not press charges, will not do anything serious. It's absolutely insane. So this real quick from CBS News. Trump again signed an executive order labeling Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. The executive order directs the Trump administration officials, according to CBS, to investigate and thwart any and all illegal operations allegedly carried out by Antifa members and to pursue people who fund such operations or provide material support to them. Extremely important. A lot of people talk about our J6, J6, J6. You know why the Democrats make a big deal out of J6, despite the fact that there were over 1 million people there and there were only, let's say, 200 or so people rioting, and they didn't do that much damage, quite frankly, but some of them did get riled up. And then the left had to create this video with with these movie sounds in the background to make it seem more January 6th more ominous than it actually was. It's because they wanted to create the narrative that Trump was bad and his people were bad, and they wanted to be able to squash them. Later, they would use COVID, but initially they used January 6th to start taking away people's rights. A lot of those charges should have been merely trespassing charges. As a matter of fact, that's what AG Merrick Garland at the time was charging a lot of these people with trespassing charges. And Joe Biden told him he needed to ramp it up. He was getting sick of them. He was thinking about letting them go. And then all of a sudden, you got AG Merrick Garland talking about insurrection, insurrection, insurrection. Meanwhile, you had the people that were literally going around different places. Again, Portland, Seattle, even Washington, D.C., May 29th, which is a way worse day, where they literally set that church on fire, the historic church, forgive me, I forget the name of it, in Washington, D.C., right across from the White House. Literally, Trump had to go into the basement of the White House to seek security. That's Antifa. And nobody talks about that. I mean, he threw a concrete milkshake at Andy No, for those of you that know him on social media. I mean, it's absolutely insane. So that's another good news out there. And then you got this news with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, to me, this is a big deal. Do we have the clip of Kamala Harris? Oh, let's play this. This is clip number 25, talking about why she didn't pick Buttigieg. I want to respond to this. Kamala Harris is on a kamikaze mission. I wasn't sure. When she put this book out, I was like, okay, I don't think there's going to be anything that's fun or salacious, worthwhile in this book. Turns out I was wrong. Gabe, every once in a while I am wrong. It's extremely rare, but once in a while I am wrong. So everything apparently that she put in this book is salacious. She's starting fights with everybody. I want to go to clip number 25. This is Kamala Harris on Rachel Maddow's show, talking about why, or answering the question why she didn't pick Pete Buttigieg. Cut number 25, por favor, Gabe. Okay. Let me try to keep a straight face for this one. All right, so you're the racist. You get it? You're the racist. You're the bigot. You're the xenophobe. You're the homophobe. You just weren't ready for Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris to be your president and vice president. Had nothing to do with their policies. It had nothing to do with their incompetence. It's all you. This lady is trapped in the prison of DEI. She's a DEI hire. She's always been a DEI hire. Everybody knows it. This was Willie Gray's girlfriend. That's the way she worked her way or climbed her way, wink, wink, up the ladder, if you know what I'm saying. And everybody knows it. And I hate to be so raw. I hate to be so nasty, but we all know that it's true. This lady simply does not have it. She couldn't talk about any policies whatsoever. She's a victim of DEI. She's in the prison of DEI, and she absolutely knows nothing else. And you think of Pete Buttigieg, she projected her DEI onto him. Now, he loves mentioning that he's gay and trying to, he loves using that too. You guys notice too? She was a black, Rachel Maddow called her a black woman and an Asian woman. And then she just said she's a black woman, basically. This lady is a joke. I hate to be so mean. I'm sorry. For those of you that think this lady is ever going to become president, I'm not even convinced she'll run. I think she wants to run, but she's just burned every single bridge imaginable in the DNC. So it's over for Kamala Harris. That was that's what you call a Kamala Harris kamikaze mission. And that was successful. She just blew up her future campaign. All right. So now more in the news. And then I want to get to Trump's clips just real quick on this Tylenol issue and pregnancy. Guys, I got to tell you, I'm just not sold on this. Listen, obviously consult your doctor. And I would always advise consult a doctor that isn't bought and paid for or purchased by one of these mega, managing or managerial type hospital systems or whatever, where they're not free to speak their own minds. Find a private doctor if one still exists near you. But Tylenol is that, right now there's a correlation, according to the Trump administration, according to RFK Jr., there's a correlation between Tylenol and autism. And honestly, there was a 2019 study, had to Wall Street Journal, that was published in JAMA Psychiatry that found that there's a higher concentrations of acetaminophen in umbilical cord blood samples taken at birth were linked to greater risk of autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Well, there was another in JAMA in 2024 of nearly 2.5 million, a bigger study. Children in Sweden found no increased risk in children when mothers took acetaminophen. I've heard stories about the Amish, Sean, etc. Consult your doctor. I'm just not sure. Obviously, with any type of medication, even over the counter, you should be judicious. You should be careful. Consult your doctor. I'm not sure if this is the autism thing. Hey, Carl Jackson here. I'd like to take a moment to tell you something I'm really excited about, and it's more important today than ever before. It's called Freedom Chat, a next-generation messaging app designed for people who still believe privacy and free speech matters. The team just launched their alpha version. It's available today on both Android and iPhone, and I'd like you to download it right now. Unlike the so-called free apps that spy on you and sell your data, Freedom Chat was built with your privacy first. Your messages are end-to-end encrypted. They're not stored on servers, and even screenshots are blocked. No tracking, no mining, no listening in, just private communication the way it should be. And here's something I especially like. Freedom Chat has no ties to big tech. It's built by people that I trust, and you should too. I believe in it so much that I've created my own private channel inside Freedom Chat at Carl Jackson, which you can subscribe to. I'll share exclusive posts and content you won't find anywhere else. And the best part, no one can see what channels you follow on which posts you react to. It's your own secure, curated feed. So if you're ready for a messenger that actually reflects your values and keeps your conversations private, head over to freedomchat.com and download it today. That's freedomchat.com, where freedom still means something. All right, welcome back to the program. Again, just a reminder, all things social media at Carl Jackson Show, at The Carl Jackson Show, X, Instagram, and Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, por favor. And again, I will say this, when it comes to, again, the correlation, and again, you have Trump, according to the Wall Street Journal, warned that acetaminophen, the active ingredient that is in Tylenol, is a potential cause of autism. I'm just not sold on this. It seems inconclusive to me. I mean, I know that there's been seemingly more studies, or from what I understand now, where there has seemed to be some type of correlation, but still it seems somewhat inconclusive. It seems to me that this is just based upon common sense. But again, I would say consult your doctor, and not a doctor that's working for one of these big hospital mama jammas. You know what I'm talking about, but an independent doctor that can tell you the truth. But right now, there isn't a replacement. I mean, if a woman is having a fever or feeling serious pain during Tylenol, quite frankly, there isn't a replacement. There is ibuprofen. There's Advil, ibuprofen that's sold as Advil, I'm sorry, or naproxen sodium, basically sold as a leave that people can take. But unfortunately, those aren't generally recommended because they can harm the baby that is in the mother's stomach. So what else are they supposed to do? Obviously, stick out the pain. If necessary, consult your doctor. I could go on about this, but I'm just, here's what I will say. I do appreciate, regardless, that there is somebody questioning the status quo. I don't necessarily believe these pharmaceutical companies all the time, but I also believe there are some good pharmaceuticals out there that do a lot of good, that elongate life, that give people quality of life for longer periods of time, and where they get to enjoy life and not be in pain and so on, etc. But also, I do believe there's some nefarious activities that are involved when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry. There's no doubt about it. Some people want to make money. Some things are good, some things are bad. That's the way that life is in general. I want to make sure that I don't have anything else. Ryan Ruth or Routh or whatever has been found guilty of all charges. That is the second person that attempted to assassinate President Trump at his golf course in South Florida, literally where this guy was set up in a sniper's nest. I mean, Trump had already there had already been an attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania, where literally a AR-15 round, I believe it's 5.56 round, nicked his ear, killed Corey Compatore behind him, or Comparator, excuse me, behind him. And then he goes to a golf course a month later, and this guy is able to scope out the golf course, set up a sniper's nest. I mean, literally build a sniper's nest comfortably where he could get a shot. He was found guilty on all charges today, and then tried to stab himself in the neck. Once he was found guilty, obviously his daughter walked out of the courtroom. For some of you that may have seen the video, walked out of the courtroom very angry, very hurt. And only 3 people testified on his behalf. That's all he called, including one expert, I believe. And basically talking about the gun that he used, an SKS, basically an AK-47 in rifle style. And I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And now this guy may get life in prison. And so he wanted to go ahead and end it, kill himself, stab himself, and end it. Such a sad state, because what happens is you get a lot of these lefties online and on TV that rile these people up and really have people believing on the left that Trump is a Nazi, that Trump is a fascist. Meanwhile, they're able to take the time to set up a sniper's nest. I mean, and say the craziest stuff online. Nothing could be further from the truth, but sadly, this guy just lost his life and nobody cares. The left doesn't care about you. For those of you that are out there thinking about or considering violence against people on the right, the left doesn't care about you. They don't. This guy that murdered Charlie Kirk, the left doesn't want anything to do with him. He's not a hero. They can't claim him as a hero. I mean, there's some people that are online that believes he's a hero, sadly and sickly. But for the most part, you'll be forgotten in the dustbin of history. The same is going to be true for Ryan Ruth. I only pray that he gets saved, or Routh, or however you pronounce it. I only pray that he gets saved. I mean, obviously, seeing his daughter is torn to. I felt bad for her. My dad was such a nice man. My dad was such a generous man. None of that matters when you're in a courtroom. All that matters is the crime. All right, let's get to some video. This is Donald Trump. Donald Trump gave one of the best speeches I think I've heard, and perhaps the best speech ever in front of the UN General Assembly. I'm not the biggest fan of Nikki Haley, but I can say she gave some humdingers. But this is the most substantive speech that I've ever seen in front of the in front of the UN. So we'll just go through. We'll go through some of these. Let's go to cut number 27, Gabe. We'll run through the list as quickly as we can and see what Trump has to say.
And founders who so bravely showed us the way. Our ancestors gave everything for homelands that they defended with pride, with sweat, with blood, with life, and with death. Now the righteous task of protecting the nations that they built belongs to each and every one of us. So together let us uphold our sacred duty to our people and to our citizens. Let us protect their borders, ensure their safety, preserve their cultures, treasure, and traditions, and fight for their precious dreams and their cherished freedoms. And in friendship and really a beautiful vision, let us all work together to build a bright, beautiful planet, a planet that we all share, a planet of peace and a world that is richer, better, and more beautiful than ever before. That can happen. It will happen. It will happen, and I hope it can happen and start right now, right at this moment. We'll turn it around. We're going to make our countries better, safer, more beautiful. We're going to take care of our people. Thank you very much. It's been an honor. God bless the nations of the world. Thank you very much. Bye.
So that was the end of it. Let's go back and let's roll it back here. Let's go to cut number 28, if you could. This is President Trump on climate
This
change.
is indeed the golden age of America. What is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood.
Let's pause it. Let's pause it right there. Let's pause it right there because and I want to go right back to that in just a moment here, Gabe. But for those of you that don't know or didn't watch, so the elevator or the escalator, I'm sorry, didn't work when President Trump first entered the UN with First Lady Melania right in front of him. It literally just stopped cold turkey. So they could have fallen. Either one of them could have fallen and gotten seriously injured. Apparently, there was a joke in the New York Times, I believe it was, earlier over the weekend, where basically employees had joked that they might do something like that, literally stopping the escalator to embarrass the president of the United States. I don't think that's listen. I don't think that's by chance. I don't think the escalator stops for the president of the United States and his entourage. And then the teleprompter didn't work as well. So those are some of the things that this UN General Assembly tried to do just to be nasty, try to make our president look bad, try to make the United States look bad. Guys, I think the United Nations is completely worthless at this point. I really do. I'm so frustrated that we have to waste money on a bunch of the buffoons that exist in there. We've got our allies. A lot of these people have their allies. You've got a lot of people that think differently. Frankly, I think the UN in some ways, shape and form, some fashion is kind of a threat to the West if you think about it. I mean, look at how they've been able to influence our NATO allies. I mean, literally, we have our NATO allies that are buying oil from Russia, telling Russia to stop bombing Ukraine while they're paying for Russia to bomb Ukraine. Our NATO allies are letting their countries be overrun, not just by any foreigners, by Islamists that are taking over their country, one neighborhood at a time, one rape at a time, one childbirth at a time. Britons barely marry and give birth to babies, and you have Muslims that are moving in that are literally taking over their countries and running their countries. There are so many mayors in the UK. It is Muslim mayors in the UK. It is unreal. It is unbelievable. We got to take a quick break, but I'll wrap it up on the other side with more of Trump's comments. But it's extremely important. He slammed the UN like they actually deserved. The UN is, again, just a troubled organization. I'm so sick of and tired of it, tired of paying for it. They come to the United States. They're involved in a bunch of corruption. They sleep with a bunch of hookers in New York City, and then they go back to wherever they came from. I'm just so sick and tired of these people. We can make phone calls. We've got Zoom. We've got everything else. We can find ways to keep them secure. We don't need to meet these people all the time and have them come here. All right, so we're going to pick up right where we left off, the video with President Trump. I'm not sure if we will be able to get every one of these videos in, but we'll try to get in as many as possible, simply because he slammed the UN, and I think it was well-deserved. He put them on notice. He called them out on many of the policies that they're adopting that are making their countries vulnerable. Let's pick up right where we left off, please, Gabe.
Teleprompter that didn't work. The number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. Let's see, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. China and India are the primary funders of the ongoing war by continuing to purchase Russian oil. They're funding the war against themselves. Who the hell ever heard of that one?
Okay, let's pause it there. So this is a compilation. I didn't pick up on that, and we have tons of video, but this is a compilation video, and I'm actually glad it is because it gives plenty of the cuts. But I love the fact that he talked about the border crisis that's happening in these countries, and they're not doing anything about it. Keir Starmer is a leftist. There's no doubt about it. But he's scared to speak ill and to be truthful about what's happening to his country because they have to be concerned about the Muslims that they allow to invade their countries voting now. Free speech, the video that we played at the very top of the last block, President Trump was talking about free speech as he closed out his speech. They've lost that in Europe, in many places in Europe. In the UK, they've lost that. People are getting, people get arrested literally for, they call it hate speech. If they say a boy is a girl or a girl's a boy, they're going to jail out there. And it's all arbitrary. It's not based on the 10 Commandments or any moral religious code. It's based on whatever the hell a leftist feels like charging you with that day. It's insane. It's insane. They're actually training themselves to accept Sharia law, and they don't even know it. But that's what's happening. He talks about the Green New Scam. All of these countries in Europe, Germany is finally reversing course or has reversed course, where they were relying heavily on all this green nonsense, destroying their economy, making their countries less safe, and they're finally waking up. Let's go right back to the video if we could, Gabe.
In the event that Russia is not ready to make a deal to end the war, then the United States is fully prepared to impose a very strong round of powerful tariffs. I have also been deeply engaged in seeking a ceasefire in Gaza. Have to get that done. Have to get it done. Unfortunately, Hamas has repeated.
Actually, I'm sorry, Gabe. I shouldn't have stopped that, but I'll go ahead and say it. This is a big deal too. You've had the UK, you've had Australia, you've had I forget who else, France, all come on and talk about what they support the establishment of a Palestinian state or something. What Palestinian state? That name derives from, I believe it was a Roman emperor trying to make fun of Jews. It's derived from the word Philistines in the Bible. David, Goliath, Philistines. There's no Palestinian state. The other Arab nations don't want the people in Gaza. They want a Palestinian state. Why do they want a Palestinian state? Why not just absorb these people from Hamas into their nations? They don't want them. They don't want them. That's why they want a Palestinian state. No, not on my hands. And then you have France and the UK emboldening Hamas, not even mentioning the hostages that have been taken, these weak countries. That's why I say these countries, they're our allies, but I'm not sure they're our friends anymore. And we're going to have to be careful because, frankly, Americans are going to get sick and tired of getting involved in any threatening wars when we have NATO allies that are literally just throwing away their culture, throwing away Western values, and succumbing to the Islamist threat that has overrun their countries. Let's go back to the video, please, Gabe.
Repeatedly rejected reasonable offers to make peace. Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities. This climate change, it's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Climate change, no matter what happens, you're involved in that. No more global warming, no more global cooling. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people, but of course their countries' fortunes and given those same countries no chance for success. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. And I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail. And if you don't stop people that you've never seen before, that you have nothing in common with, your country is going to fail.
He's right. Those are some of the biggest threats that are out there. The Green New Scam, inviting people into your country that don't want to assimilate into your country, that don't believe in Western ideals, that want to bring the ideals of the Middle East into Western civilization. That is crazy. That is insane. Literally, political correctness inside of the UK is going to kill that nation. And that's why I wonder, how long can these people even be our allies? Because they're definitely not acting like our friends. If they won't preserve their Western values, if they won't preserve their culture, how the hell do they expect us to do it as Americans, do it for them? And then to buy into this Green New Scam, one of the things that wasn't shown in that video, how he mentioned, and it's common sense. I mean, Biden would talk about the green energy and climate change and all this kind of stuff, and yet he would get onto that big old Boeing 747 Air Force One and travel all around the globe. They don't believe this stuff. What the UN is, when the UN, people in the UN are talking about climate change, many of these nations cheerleading for climate change. Yeah, there's climate change. What happens is these stupid Western countries will give them money in order to combat. It's a scam. It's a money laundering scam. Trump also talked about how when he offered to make that UN building for about $500 million with much better material. They ended up building it for, I think, $3 or $4 billion with cheaper material. There's no telling where all of that money went. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Let's go to cut number 33, if we could, Gabe, if we have time for it.
Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, and then we have to get them out. The UN also provided food, shelter, transportation, and debit cards to illegal aliens. Can you believe that? On the way to infiltrate our southern border. Millions of people came through that southern border. Just a year ago, millions and millions of people were pouring in, 25 million altogether over the 4 years of the incompetent Biden administration. And now we have it stopped, totally stopped. In fact, they're not even coming anymore because they know they can't get through. But what took place is totally unacceptable. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them.
Unbelievable. I mean, just sit and think about that. Why? Ask yourself, why would they do that? Why would the UN, these United Nations, why would they do it? It's because they want to tear America down. America is exceptional. It is the shining light on the hill. It is the beacon amongst many. It really is. And the world knows it. They want to bring it down to size. They want to bring us down to size. It's not that our people are better. Our ideas are better. Our Constitution is better. Well, Carl, we're systemically racist. Listen, fools, we're the ones that ended slavery. Every nation, every people were slaves and slave owners. Everybody. Whites, Europeans, you name it. Everybody. So don't buy into that nonsense. In my opinion, Trump going in, I didn't even give you half the takes. Trump going in and putting the UN in place is exactly what the doctor ordered. I cannot be more proud to be an American. Thank God for this president.